checking out the video. Today we're making another small change to the TJ here, one small step at a time to get to an overall end goal of 39s and a stretch and long arms and all the goodies. But today we're doing more of a cosmetic mod, and we're going to be adding some LED taillights and some LED turn signals for the front. These are both just cheap Amazon items. This one is parts AM or parts AM maybe. I did make a mistake and bought a 2-wire one when I should have bought a 3-wire. I'll have to just wire this in as a marker light for now, and eventually I will switch or change the wiring to be able to make this into a marker and turn signal. But these are going to get mounted right here. So in order to do that, I'll have to drill a hole. I ran to my favorite store and bought a hole saw kit and the right size hole saw bit, both from Harbor Freight. And then these will go on the back, and these are another cheap brand. They're Meerkat, and I went with these ones because they are flat flush mounts. So instead of having to drill a 4-inch hole, which these are 4-inch lights, I should be able to take this light off and center this over the factory hole and drill it into place. I wanted to do it that way because I will be adding quarter armor eventually. So if these lights don't work out, I can always switch then. But I didn't want to cut a big hole and then it might not be right when I put quarter panel armor on. The downside to these is that there is no reverse light. Not a problem. I have other light options that I'll just wire in. I don't really rely on my reverse lights very often anyway. I like having them. In the XJ I had them on a switch and I had a lot more light, so I prefer that method. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the back and remove this light and try to center this on there, and hopefully I can get away with drilling 4 small holes and mounting it in there. Alright, so I got a mess going on in here, but that's okay. We're going to address that soon. The first step is going to be to remove this light. I believe all you do is take off these 4 screws, and then the bolts should be on the inside. Pop that lens out, and there are 3 screws in there with bolt heads on them. They look like they're probably 10 millimeter. And they are. All right. So I was hoping that there would be more wiring to fish out there, or maybe a plug. Got my hand on the inside there and it doesn't feel like there's a plug. That's okay. We're just going to go ahead. We'll just go ahead and cut this wire right here. And then the new light will sit on there about like that. So I'm not worried about reusing these lights. I don't think there's a market for them or a need for them. I know you guys will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm going to cut this as close as I can to this housing. Maybe leave a little bit. Could always be rewired, I guess. But I want as much wire to play with as I can for installing that one. So there's 3 wires poking through there. And I'd say the purple with black stripe goes to the reverse light, which was on top. So probably won't really need that one. I'll just tape it off. And then we have a black and a yellow and a red and a green. So I'm gonna wipe this off. We'll strip those and then start playing around with which is which. On the back of this, it's actually labeled. You got your ground, you got your tail and rear, and then stop and turn. All right, for the ground, I just screwed one of the screws back in and hooked the ground wire up. And I think I'll probably be able to cut this short and just put an eyelet on there and be able to do the same thing instead of having to run an extra wire down. So we have the tail and rear is red on this Meerkat light, and the stop and turn is white. So here you have your tail. It's not as bright. And then there's your brake. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off, wire those in, and screw them on. I have some of those self-soldering butt connectors that I'll use for that step. So, and then once I get it up there, I'll have to drill some pilot holes for the new screws, and it should go pretty easy from there. All right, so now that is taped up in there, I shoved it back. I added a little lug to this ground wire, and it's just gonna sit in there like that. I should be okay with spacing because it comes with this felt, just a little pad for the back. And then I got a very small drill bit, just big enough to act as a pilot hole for the provided screws. So now I'm just gonna hold it up and do my best at making sure it is square and level and all that good stuff. And then I'm just gonna start drilling holes, and then we'll screw it in, and hopefully it comes out square and nice and firm on there. So let's go for it. Yeah. So I'm gonna drill out those holes just a little bit bigger and put some more paint on it. And then hopefully that will fit in there right. So I got my 4 holes drilled out just a little bit bigger. It's looking like there still should be enough for there to be some bite on there. Well, that's a good sign. I have my coffee mug in there holding the brake down, so the fact that that light came on means that the ground is sufficient. So it definitely feels like it's the ground that's the problem. All right, so I found some random hardware in my glove box. I don't think the head's too big on this. I drilled a new hole. That'll be the dedicated ground hole. I'll have to drill it out a little bit bigger, but I got a lock washer, 2 regular washers, a nut, and a screw with a nut on the other side. So I think with it being right here, I should be able to install this first, tighten it down, then put the rest on. All right, so I pulled down that wheel liner back there, and I can reach up now. Hopefully put these on a little easier. Trying to be careful not to over tighten those and strip out that sheet metal hole. Oh, that looks pretty good. Well, I'd say aesthetically that's a huge improvement. Now I'll go hit the brakes for you guys a few times and see how that looks. All right, there I got the blinker on. Here's my brake checker device. That looks pretty good. All right, we got the back done. It's looking good. That is pretty much exactly what I had in mind. That's exactly what I wanted. So, super happy with that. Now it's time to move on to the front. And honestly, I'm a little more hesitant and stressed out about doing the front because, you know, I'm cutting a big hole in there. I figure the best way to do this would be to try to figure out where I want it using this grommet. You know, centered with the light, and keeping in mind that this is going away. I'm going to high lines, so there'll be a tube coming out here. Some people put them up here. I don't think I'd like that look. I like them on the grill itself, and I'm thinking that it's going to look best kind of centered in this space, the best I can get it. And then I'll measure, so I'm going to line it up by hand, put a dot dead center. That's where I'll drill my hole. But before I do any drilling, I'll measure where that hole is in relation to the grill slot and the bottom of the grill. That way I can mirror it on the other side. So last thing you want is, you know, a perfect light over here and then the other side to be goofy and not look right. You know, so we're wanting it like somewhere in there, and then I'm gonna steal the wiring from this outside one, or maybe from here, I guess, just not have blinkers for a couple days while I wait on my lights. But then I'll run the wires in, and hopefully I can get to that on the back side. I think you can fish your finger in back here. So anyway, chatting too much because I'm putting this off. So I'm going to clean that up real quick and start drilling. So I'm just going to eyeball this. Thinking somewhere right in there. Then I'll measure in from the grill, from that first slot, 3 5/8. I eyeballed it, but that's almost exactly 3 5/8 from there too. So, and 3 1/8 up. Now here comes the stressful part. We got to drill a hole. I'm gonna make a pilot hole first. Oh boy, this is pretty stressful. Try to hold it as level as I can and just go real slow. Now I'm gonna grab my file and clean that up a bit. Oh, it looks like there's plenty of access in the back of there. All right, so here's the wiring harness for my blinkers and marker. This is the blinker. It's got the 3 wires going into it. And then this one runs a little bit longer to come out to here. Well, since all that's going away, right? I'm gonna go ahead and fish it back through this hole. This white wire is the trigger wire for the daytime running lights on those lights right there. And so anyway, I need to fish this in and find a good spot for it to sit. I want these 3 wires going to where this new hole is at. I will have to get a resistor and a couple diodes to make the blinker work. I'm going to leave this one sitting in there because once I get done with my Highline mod, I'll have to find another spot and I'll put in another marker light for the side. Oh, so it turns out I was able to just fish it down through there around that body mount, and then there is some trim in here, like a splash guard that leads right to this spot. So I was able to fish it up and out of there. This is the longer piece, of course. I'm just gonna tuck that in there for now. That'll be the side marker that I'll put over here somewhere. And then this one will be the marker light for this location. And one of these is gonna be the blinker wire. And I'll need to run that up to this light whenever I get those headlights. So far this is working out pretty good. So now I just need to figure out which one is the marker light. You got a black, a yellow striped black wire, and a gray wire. So I went ahead and turned the marker light on and the blinker just for testing this light. The yellow striped is the marker. The other one should be the blinker, but it's not working. All right, so I was doing a little bit of reading and I found out that having the wrong relay in here not only will give you that fast blink, I knew that already, but it can also cause a no flash. So I went ahead and went and picked up a Novita brand EP27 LED compatible relay, and that relay in these Jeeps is located under here. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo the screws for that, and pop that down, throw the relay in, and then hopefully, you know, that will not only fix the fast blink, but maybe I can get that LED to work in the front. I also went ahead and ordered some diodes and some resistors. So that should allow me to go from 3 wires down to the 2 that that LED has. Was having a hell of a time finding that relay. I was even turning on the blinker trying to listen for it and feel for it. And I pulled off this lower piece down here, couldn't find it. Well, there was a piece of tape over right here. So if you're looking for it too, it is directly to the right of your emergency flasher. And this is what it looks like. It's a bigger one, taller than the aftermarket ones. Feel around until you find the right spot. Okay, we had the fast blink before. There we go. Nice and slow, normal. Perfect, so that fixed that. Now I'm gonna go to the front and install some of those diodes and resistors. There's a new problem, and this relay does not like the emergency flashers. I'm not going to address it today. I hopefully won't need those, right? But I will need to do something about that eventually, because that is a safety feature and it does not like it. So that issue I was having earlier, where I would have a marker light but not a turn signal was also resolved by that flasher relay. So there's the marker light, and there's the turn signal. Okay, I'm still gonna have to use diodes. All right, just for your sake, in case you're copying what I'm doing, you will need 2 diodes and a resistor. I'm using a 1/2 watt 560 ohm resistor and a IN4004 rectifier diode. So, and then on a diode, one part of it will be marked. So in this case, it's a silver band. That is the polarity side. So that's not going to allow any current to come back through. It will only come this way. So that mark, whether it's a stripe or a dot, or sometimes it's just like a nick in the piece, that needs to be on the LED side. So when you wire this in, you'll have a diode on the blinker side, and you'll have the resistor connected to a diode on the running light side. And also, you're not going to want to have any kinks like I have. These pieces are getting thrown away. I'm just testing it out. Having bends and stuff like that in these can cause fatigue, and then they'll crack and break, and that's no good. So I'm going to hold my light up, and you'll see if I hold it on the marker light side before the resistor, you got full power. If I hold it after, it's a lot dimmer. If I hold it after the diode, I have my marker lights and the blinker on right now. You'll see that it flashes. So there it flashes before the diode, full power before the diode, and resistor on that one. And then afterwards, you get a nice blink. Also, if you're following this is a 2003 TJ. You have a black wire, that's the ground. Black and yellow is the marker light, and it looks like a gray is the turn signal. So I'm gonna go ahead and snip these off, wire all this in, and pop that light in. So here's how my wiring turned out. Not the prettiest. Hopefully I'll be cleaner on the other side, but it is working. I tried to put some heat shrink on there, but to get the right size over the connectors isn't perfect, so I am going to wrap this up with tape still. Can always redo this down the road. I hate redoing stuff, but when I'm doing it, sometimes that's how it has to be. So now I'm going to go ahead and tape this up. These are the ones left over for my side marker whenever I build my fenders. And then I added this blue wire out of this bunch, and this will go up to be the trigger wire for my new headlights whenever they come. And those headlights that I have coming are from Co-Light LED, and they have the integrated turn signals in them, so that should be pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape all this up and shove the grommet in there and show you guys what it looks like. Also noteworthy on these part SAM lights, this doesn't reach all the way to the bottom, which is kind of annoying. I noticed a few other people in the reviews trimmed these down. I'm not gonna worry about it. Yeah, it should sit more flush in there like that. But I mean, this was hard to put in, not even installed, so. Went and grabbed some soap. All right. Hopefully that never needs to come out, because it's going to be nearly impossible. But it looks pretty good. Turn the blinker off and see what the marker light looks like on its own. Overall, not too bad. That was the hardest part of the install, was this front, getting that in the grommet, right? And wiring in those diodes isn't exactly fun because, you know, they're meant for like a static type situation, not really for moving around. So I might have some fatigue issues over time. I should have looked harder. I'm sure they have diodes meant for automotive applications that have some more give in them, but that's okay. At least it's working. So I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the other side. We'll do a nighttime walk around once I have all the lights done. All right, the tail light and front marker lights are completely installed. They look great, they're working great. I wasn't able to fix the emergency light flasher issue, so I'll have to look into that further. I might just add some new lights. The front lights are a little dimmer than I thought, probably because they're the tinted lenses. So I think if you were to buy just regular amber lights, it would probably work a little bit better. Overall, it's looking really great. I really prefer the look of these round lights over the factory ones on the bumper, or on the fender, I should say. Like I have mentioned, those fenders will be going away hopefully soon. Let's get out. I'm gonna set the camera up and I'll run through the lights and you guys can see what they look like. So, like I said, nice and bright. All the LEDs work and look good. And it really, you know, added to the flush look on the back there. You know, it just fits the back of the Jeep a lot better. Moving on to the front. Yeah, so like I said, overall I think it was a success. Looks great. Works pretty good, no issues so far, and relatively an easy install. You know, there was some extra wiring with the diodes and the resistors in front. The rear was, you know, very straightforward, and you know, it was a major upgrade for a 2003 Wrangler. So leave a comment, tell me what you guys think, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.